You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life, hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. Welcome to the TNQ podcast, man. Team Never Quit is back in action. Me, your host, David Rutherford, Navy SEAL, motivational speaker, author, performance coach, but more importantly, I'm here with my brother, Mr. Never Quit himself, Mr. Marcus Luttrell. What do you say, Marcus?
It's going to be a good show.
Well,
I get fired up about watching your motivation. It's funny because some people are like, oh, you had so-and-so, Rut must have been fired. I was like, he's fired up no matter what. I mean, when he comes in. So I'm excited, bro.
How can you not be fired up when you're doing our mission and what our purpose here on our show? And if you're just a first-time listener, our mission literally is to expose people around the world in America to what the never quit mindset is all about. And we want to show you that, not so, we tell cool stories and have cool interviews, but it's to help you, right? It's to help teach the people that are struggling right now how to get up out of the dirt.
I mean, through this you're going to see that in some way, somehow, that what you hear coming out of these microphones and the person that we're interviewing, and you've been in that situation somehow, and that we're all connected by that one thing.
That's what you always say.
Something's going to happen, and I got to get through it somehow.
The common denominator in the human condition is that we all experience pain, whether it's self-imposed or it's the pain of life or whatever it may be.
Physical, mental, emotional.
It's all there, right?
There you go.
And so the idea is for us is really to take a show where we have unique sections, right? The show is broken down into 3 various parts. First, we've got a little fun part where Marcus and I pull out a great never quit story from history. And we're going to go either way back. I mean, we talked about the Spartan 300. We're going to talk about everything in between all the way around. The stories that really make a difference to us coming around. And then we get into the interview where we're going to pull on these wonderful guests, people that we know that we believe are going to make an impact in your life. People that can come on that share their story, that moment when they didn't quit. And
they probably already have made an impact in somebody's life.
Right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. When you get people on like the guests that we got coming on today, I mean, this guy is remarkable. I mean, he is one of the greatest workhorses of Major League Baseball.
Absolutely. Just to kind of go off and keep on that first point you made. I mean, someone could come on here and tell their never quit story, and somehow it impacted somebody that they didn't even know.
Right?
You know what I'm talking about?
Well, that one
because he did that guy listened like, oh man, that's why I got through that, and I didn't even know it. He was the one that did that.
The inspiration, the motivation.
Yeah.
Amen.
Touches everywhere.
Now, the cool part about our show too is that we're not only going to get on them to tell their never quit story, where those influences came from, where it happened, how they learned it, where all that the real great stuff that people love to hear. But in our After Actions report, which will be a whole nother segment that you can find on the TNQ podcast webpage, and that's tnqpodcast.com, which is attached to the Team Never Quit main website. And if you haven't been there, please go check us out, man. Go to the Team Never Quit webpage where we've got the Team Never Quit speakers that we're on. We've got the Team Never Quit store, and we've got some great gear, some great new gear that came in, t-shirts and hats, stickers, you name it. You got to go check it out. We've got the Team Never Quit ammunition. So if you're out there and you've shot this stuff, Marcus, it's good ammo, isn't it?
It is. And I tell people, look, it's not made to buy and sit on a shelf. And matter of fact, when you go out and you start putting it down range, we want to know what's wrong with it. Don't tell me what's good about it. I expect it to be good. So those guys who put thousands of rounds down every day, I don't care. You seem like, hey, I had 3 of them that just kind of went funny. We all know, that little guy there, don't worry about that little guy there.
Yeah.
I don't care.
That dented primer and that didn't go off.
I want to hear, send us, write us, tell us all about it, man, so we can make it better.
And you can do that on the TNQpodcast.com webpage. But what we also can do there is you can just write in your never quit story. You can write in a friend's never quit story. You can record a video and post it there. And I'll tell you what, if they're really good and they're awesome, then, there's a chance that Marcus and I will relay that story on the Team Never Quit podcast. Or if it's really awesome, what are we going to do, Marcus?
You're coming on. we want to look in those eyes.
We want to hear it from the source right there. That's awesome.
It's when that happens, when they come on and start telling it, then you get to hear about some of the stuff that they don't think about that made it happen.
Right.
And that's the juice right there.
And I love how you always say when our guests come on here, Marcus really likes to prep these guys and let them know, hey, we're all human beings here. And it's the stuff, the pain, it's that anguish, it's that darkness, right? When people are going through that, that's what's going to help the rest of us.
Right. Pain, terror is a matter of perspective.
Amen.
But everybody goes through it, and most people find a way out of it. And then when we start lining that up, and during the after action's done, the lessons learned is right there. So I mean, it's there. You may not have been in the exact situation, or you're that exact person, but let me tell you something. Some of the stuff they used, you can use to get out of it.
Amen. That's our mission. That's our goal here. All right, so let's get into today's historical component, all right? Now, and this sets up our guest perfectly, all right? So the historical person that we're going to discuss prior to the interview today is Mr. Cal Ripken himself, right?
Iron Man.
The Baltimore Orioles, right? Now, Cal, in my mind, not only was he an incredible baseball player, right? He's in the 3,000 hit club, but the true amazing number in my mind is the fact that the guy played in 2,632 consecutive games, surpassing Lou Gehrig's streak of 2,130, which stood for what is an incredible 56 years, Marcus.
Yeah, I mean, it's being a baseball fan, family being a baseball fan, you couldn't miss school. Cal didn't miss a day of. You want to be a baseball player? You know what I'm talking about? It's hard, man, when people are coming down on you, and the guy that they're talking about is really carrying the weight. You know what I'm saying?
For everybody, right? And that's a unique perspective. That's really something that's special when you say carrying the weight, because I think those guys out there that are the examples in that never quit mindset. No, through rain, sleet, or snow, through a hail of gunfire, that are always going to be on the line in the battle, in the combat of life. Those are the guys that inspire you to say, you know what, I'm going to suck it up, because if Cal can do it, I can do it.
Right. I mean, imagine that after it started gaining people started noticing it. It's one of the deals where everyone's looking around, and you don't have to worry about when Cal's going to be here. He's going to be here. You know what I'm talking about? And you can't tell me doing that job all that time that he wasn't in pain, or he didn't hurt, he didn't have the flu, or somebody didn't die, or something like that. I mean, you want to talk about team commitment. I'm sure he wasn't doing that for himself.
And what's that do? I mean, I remember when you first
you have a link in the chain is that strong. I mean, that's the one you need to hook up.
Everybody too, right?
Exactly.
I remember when you first got in and you started.
I mean, now that we're talking about this out loud, that's an amazing.
It's crazy
deal.
It's crazy when you think about that magnitude. And the baseball season, just having had the real blessing to work with the Red Sox recently and to get in there and get in the dugout in one of their games with John Farrell and to talk to him, he said, this is a haul, man. What is it? 162 games a year. And Cal did that for years, decades.
Right.
And he
baseball, that's a cathedral, man. That's the Olympus right there. I loved my granddad explained baseball as life. There's the highs and lows, the boring times, and then the action is quick kind of deal. And when you get somebody like that who was committed to that game, that life, so you got to think, that's not what he did. That's what he was. Right?
You know what I think now that we got going, we're talking about this, I think that we should try to get old Cal on the show, too.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, listen, Cal Ripken, if you're not familiar, go look him up, man. If you're younger out there and you're paying attention, go check his story out because it truly is inspiring. The guy is the manifestation of the never quit mindset. And if you want, he's got some great books out there about it. He does amazing charity stuff. He's a family man. The guy is really a remarkable individual. And I think that's something to recognize too, right? Is that it's not just about the sole performance on the field. It's about the entirety of the man.
Right, exactly. Because that's what makes that happen.
It's not just one little piece, the drive to compete.
When we were talking to Nick.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was kind of, you don't have to tell us that part.
Right.
Just because of what you said, we know that that's an automatic.
It's an automatic.
Yeah.
But and I'm hoping today, with today's guests, and I know this is going to be awesome because we're going to learn the automatics. And I'm willing to bet that this guy coming on, he has that same thing. And he's going to tell us those same things that we heard from Nick, right? And really...
That pattern, you're starting to...
The pattern.
There we go. Is that it?
The never quit pattern, right?
We had the pattern,
well,
right.
When you look at behavioral psychology, right, and you dig into that, you start to see, that's what those cats were all about, is we're going to study a human being, and we're going to see the things that just keep reoccurring over and over, and then go, why? Well, in our world, right, it's the never quit is the why.
It's kind of funny. Trust me, there's been a lot of head shrinkers up in here. You know what I'm talking about? When we come in, man.
But most importantly, your wife, the boss.
Right. And the whole time they're talking at us and explaining the theories of the cognitives and how to do that. When I was sitting down there and you said the pattern, if he'd have just been like, hey, man, don't quit. Right, got it, Doc. Cool. Right? Am I right?
That's it.
God, are we right? Go on.
And in case you're wondering who God is our executive producer for the show, and we're not going to tell you his name. We want it to be the mystery. He's sitting there. He monitors us all the time. He makes sure that we're not technically going to drop calls or do all that right there. We just want to let you know he's there, and I know that drives him nuts, which is why we're going to do that. All right. Enough of that. Let's get into the guest today. All right. So this guy, he's amazing. All right. He was the person from the modern day where they said, all right, he's never going to make it. His senior year, Marcus, in high school, he was 5'2", 140 pounds.
Yeah.
When he went to Arizona State, they said the same thing. You'll never play. He was an All-American over and over and over, and he just kept proving the pundits wrong. And especially when he got at the Pawtucket and the AAA level, they said, no way. Before you know it, he was at Fenway, the greatest cathedral in baseball. And since he's been there, the guy has proven himself a couple of times in the World Series and the ALC championships. The guy is the consummate workhorse. My favorite aspect of our guest coming on, Marcus, is the guy has been nominated 6 times for the Hustle Award. And he won it once in 2013, the year they won the World Series, right? The Boston Strong year.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet you it's kind of like our fire in the gut.
Amen.
You're not going after that on purpose.
No.
Really, you don't even know it. I didn't even know it existed. I think I heard about it a couple times, but them guys that get that honor mans are honor mans, but those Hustle Awards.
Yeah. That was the thing that I always loved, right? Because I knew I wasn't going to be first every time. Or whatever.
I led the goon squads. So, I mean, and then the guys in between those, the perfect one was the guy, the instructors that were like, "Who are you?" And like, exactly.
The gray man, right?
We weren't those guys.
Never.
No.
I heard this on a regular basis. Rutherford, shut up and drop.
Mine was usually preceded by a cuss word, and then how are you still here?
And I'll tell you why. Because of the never quit attitude.
I just stand up. I just stand up.
Just get up and come back. All right. So without further ado, we're going to get our guest today, Mr. Dustin Pedrioa of the Boston Red Sox, on the show. All right, my brother, you know the deal. I know the deal. We got someone on today who definitely knows the deal. Everybody, I'd like to introduce one of my favorite people who's out there putting it down every day. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, Mr. Dustin Pedroia. Dustin, welcome to the show, bud.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. It's going to be a blast.
That's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
So when Marcus and I were talking and we were trying to figure out, who we were going to bring on, what athlete we wanted to bring on first to really exemplify that never quit mindset. It's interesting. I've become good friends with Mike Rickard ever since I worked with you guys. Uh-huh. And I was telling Mike about the show and I was, running down in his mind and all that. And he goes, "Hey, bro, it's not even a question, man. You got to bring the laser on, man. I mean, that's the guy from day one out there who has been grinding it out." And so it's a real honor and privilege for us to have you.
Absolutely. The great part about it, and the circle that Rut and I ran around in, the same one with you, I mean, you're running around a bunch of alpha, apex, predator type of guys. And when you distinguish yourself out of that group because you're just being who you are, and it's a positive light kind of deal, man, that just told me all I needed to know about you before we even met. So I'm glad you decided to come on here. That's real cool. Rut and I are stomping around, like, yeah, we don't get anybody. Let's start calling in those favors.
Exactly.
That's good.
All right, so the way we get things rolling on the TNQ podcast is we're going to loosen your brain up a little bit because we can't be there and the three of us just can't get in that weight room and crush ourselves a little bit right now, although that's in the future for sure. We're going to have to give beat downs to the guests and us before we start.
Yeah, Mad Minute and then the Mad Mile or something like that.
A little combat conditioning course.
We need to step out back for a second.
All right, Dustin, you got to carry Marcus for 1,000 meters and then shoot.
Obviously, you're not getting into this interview, so we're going to go get a little motivation outside. Right? Hold on. We're not going to go jump in the pool and run and roll around the dirt.
I love it. All right, so the Mad Minute is going to get your brain warmed up for us, and then we'll jump into the interview. So are you ready, brother?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. First question is, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Woodland, California. It's about 15, 20 miles north of Sacramento. Grew up there until I left for Arizona State.
Awesome. If you had to watch a movie, what movie would you watch twice?
I would watch Jesus. Man.
We need to change that up and go, what movie have you worn out?
Yeah, there you go. What movie have you worn out so many times that you can recite every line?
Probably Major League One.
Great movie. Wild thing.
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen is our hero, too. I mean, come on, Navy SEALs? I mean, that's what got us in.
Yep.
Whole generation that was backfilled because of Charlie Sheen.
All right, give me one of your favorite. Give me one of your favorite quotes from the movie.
I didn't know who she was.
There's a lot of good ones, but probably the best one was when the guy from the Yankees comes up to hit, and he looks at Jake Taylor and he goes, "Hey Taylor, what are you doing back up in the big leagues?" And he goes, "Man, I couldn't cut it in the Mexican leagues." Just conversations like that, man. It's pretty funny in the baseball world.
I love it. All right, if you had to fight one, which guy would you choose? Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I'd probably fight Stallone.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Good call. Good call. All right, if you
Yeah.
if you had to if the person who's the person you'd most love to get drunk with?
You know what? I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not much of a drinker.
Amen to that, man.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm not
we
much
don't
of a
either,
drinker,
actually.
But Mike Napoli, if I ever actually, get after it, I'm doing it with Mike Napoli. He's one of my favorite teammates of all time.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Napoli.
All right, here we go.
That's
You
real
ready?
nice.
Here we go. Beatles, Rolling Stones, or Led Zeppelin?
No, Rolling Stones.
Love it. You can't always get. All right, I'll stop singing. All right, last one. Last one. What would be your dream career if you weren't doing what you're doing now?
I would. I'd want to be a point guard in the NBA.
That's cool, man. That's cool. I tell you what, I used to dream of being I was a point guard too, man. And but you watch guys like Steve Kerr and all those guys from the 80s and 90s, man, and they were just awesome.
Nash.
Yeah,
Point guard, right?
I would love to do that, man, and play defense, man. I used to love watching Gary Payton play defense on people, just getting in people's face.
Awesome. All right. That's the Mad Minute. And
You got to be 9 feet to play.
Yeah, no kidding.
I walked into a hotel, and I think I was in Miami, and the elevator door opened up, and I walked in, and I ran into this guy who was coming out, and my head hit him in the belly button. And I kind of stared up. And that didn't happen a lot to guys who are over 6 foot.
You're not a small man, Mark.
And I just kind of shook my head and laughed about it a little bit. And then the elevator went up, the door opened up, and then 3 more guys that size walked in. I was like, who's in town?
Exactly.
I forgot what town I was in. I've been traveling so much, and I was like, oh yeah, there's something going on here. You know what I mean?
Somebody
They're
playing
just
Wow.
huge. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, bro, man.
They're
just
massive.
It's unbelievable, man. How big a human being can be these days.
It's crazy, and they just keep getting bigger too.
Yeah.
All right, Dustin, let's get into the interview, and I know our listeners are super fired up to really hear these stories or story from you. So we're going to jump right in with both feet, and why don't you, if you could, share with us your greatest never quit story, or if you got a series of them that tie together, whatever it may be. Go ahead and just let's get this fired up and share that with us, if you would.
I mean, for me personally, my story, my career. I mean, there hasn't been one specific moment. I think it's just everything that's built up and leading up to everything. Obviously, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, and my whole life, I've in little league and playing in high school ball. I was always the best player on my team, and I didn't get drafted out of high school. I got a scholarship to Arizona State, and once I got to school, their thing was, he'll be a good college player, and all the talk and everything said about me, kind of it didn't piss me off, but it kind of fueled me to say, these people can't predict anything. They don't live inside me. They don't understand what
Amen.
What I wish to do. And my focus was every day. Every day I want to wake up and try to get better at anything. Whether it's school, baseball, being a good person or helping somebody, whatever today comes, I got to figure out how to do something good every single day. And I took that mindset from the day one. My parents obviously are the biggest influence on me. Always treat people with respect and treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's the way I've always approached everything, and I still do to today. There's always people that just throw a label on somebody or judge somebody from either not meeting them or whatever. And I don't do that. I don't live my life like that. I don't judge anybody. I show up every day to my job, or if I'm being, I have 3 boys. If I'm being a dad, I have to find a way to be. I want to be the best at everything I do. And if I'm having a bad day, I got to find somebody else to make their day better. I just have to do something to be the best and help people and try to win at everything I do. So there wasn't one moment that. I mean, there was several times where you hear, oh, he's this or he's that. But in my mind, I'm not here to prove anybody wrong. I'm here for me, when I'm done with my career,
right.
or when I die, I want them to say, if I ever needed anything, he's the first guy I'm calling. Or if there's ever a big at bat in a game, I want that guy hitting. That's what I want.
That's awesome.
And, I'm working every day to try to do that.
See, this is I was thinking about this last night, man, and we're jumping off this. I mean, you're one of the first guys to come in here. So it works different for everybody is what we're starting to see in your situation. And I knew it was going to happen. I thought for sure we might be running into this. So it's not one of those, just like you said, a little thing, a lot of little never quit stories, man. You're unique in that your life is the never quit story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to make it to the show and that positive attitude. So, which is perfect because we've been trying to get somebody to get on here that we can do this with. So yeah, what you just said, and we were the same way. So I remember when I decided that I wanted to be in the SEAL teams, there was that waking up at 4 o'clock to go to the pool before school and then the workout afterwards. And it was just it was the day. That day I had to do this to make sure I could be ready for the next day. And you just keep pushing. And obviously Rut and I through our stuff, man, hit those big roadblocks because that's how ours is set up. It's set up for you ultimately have to fail multiple times so they can evaluate you and into what we do. But with yours, man, you're talking about Major League Baseball. Everybody wants to do that as a kid, man. And not the biggest guy, not the strongest guy, not the smartest guy, but the flame that burns in the belly of those type of guys is unbelievable, man. I mean, I was little and the whole 9 yards, man, same as you. And it was just one of them deals where I had my brother with me. And I noticed, I was reading some of the stuff that you had done, and we can get into this one.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole on that, man. But I can't live without my crew, my boys that I grew up with. Since I was a boy, I had the same guys. And I mean, as we were growing older, the ones that didn't kind of evolve with us went away. So that core group stayed together, and we're still together this day. And that enables me to push past those hard times because they were either with me or I would call them, and they were still so fired because they're not having to go through the suck.
Exactly.
And they're still so fired up and enamored with the idea of what I was trying to accomplish that it motivated me. And that's all I needed, man. I couldn't live without them. And it got to a point, I was reading something about you passing your scholarship over to that kid, you know what I mean? Yep. And I go, you know what, man? I'm successful. That means my boys are too. And no matter if I'm going in a direction and he takes the wrong turn, I'll back up to get him just so he'll be beside me because I need him to push through that. And that's what I saw when I was reading. I was like, you know what, man? He's obviously been with this kid somewhere before where it meant something. And something as major as a scholarship is trivial compared to the loyalty and the love you have for your buddy,
amen.
Right? I mean,
absolutely.
I don't try to put words in your mouth, man, but when I was reading that, that was kind of my...
Dustin, will you tell us that story?
I mean, we were. It was. I was going to be a. I mean, I was on a full almost a full scholarship in baseball, which we only have 11.7 scholarships, and we had an opportunity to get a transfer pitcher in who was really good, and we didn't have any scholarship money left over. So I called my dad and I said, "Hey, Dad, what do you think of this? You only have a certain opportunity of chances to win in college baseball." And my dad's basically my whole life has said, hey, whatever you choose to do in your life, you do it 100%. If it's a sport, you play to win. You play for your teammates. You play for each other. You show up every day. It's not about you. It's about everyone. You win as a team. You lose as a team. And I everything that he said, I called him up and asked him, and he said, you know what? If you think this is the right decision, I'll back you up. And
that's awesome.
And that's that. So, we did that, and this guy, he was a great guy, and we played our tails off together. But just the mindset, that's what I was always told in any sport or anything. I mean, it's a team. If somebody's abilities are better than one other person, that doesn't mean that person is more valuable than the other guy. He could say one thing to me on game 158 that gets me locked in at the plate to where I can carry the team. So I'm doing it, but what that guy said to me is more valuable than what I'm doing, in my opinion, because it takes every single guy to do things right. So
you can't put a price tag on that loyalty. And after knowing who you are and watching you play, when I was thinking about that after, I was like, hey, in the back of his head, that little voice, because you're a humble guy.
Yeah, he is.
That's what I mean, in the back of your head, you're looking at the coach going, I'm better than needing a scholarship. Hey, you don't have to pay me to what I mean to bring me here. I've already been prepping for this.
Yeah, my whole life. This is my whole life. Yeah,
I'm ready to go. I don't need that incentive. I appreciate it, but my boy here, I need his incentive.
Yeah,
because just like you said, game 158, he'll come walking out there and wink at me the right way or say something stupid. That all that had to do was when he said that. That's what pulled out that whatever in my head, and then it was let's roll, man.
Was on.
Yeah,
it was on. So Dustin, my next question for you, and I love how you talk about your father. You know, I mean, that's for me. That was one of my greatest influences. My father's intellect and my mom's competitive drive. She was a state champion tennis player growing up, and that's what kind of sparked my desire to be an athlete my whole life until teams and. And, when you think back to the things that they instilled in you through their words and their actions, what were some of the big ones? I mean, you talked about, hey, if you're going to do something, do it right the first time. But what were some of the other ones that you really remember? Those phrases like, I love Mark. Every now and then you'll probably get one today. Marcus will throw something out. My granddad used to say, or my pop used to, my mom used to say, it's coming.
That's a Southern thing, man. Because here's the deal. Because if you say it and it's dumb, it's not on me. You know what I mean? That was my old man said that. I never understood it anyways. How can something be uphill both ways? You know what I mean?
So what were those things?
I think my dad he would say, always be relentless. Always, in sports or anything, it's be relentless and work. You can outwork people, and you put your mind to it. You'll find a way to get things done. That's what's great about the sport I play is you play so many games, you have so many at-bats, there's so many situations that if you practice all those situations more than the other guy, you're going to be better than that guy. And I always remember that. Be relentless, whether it's pitch one of the game or the last pitch of the game. You have to find a way to be engaged every single moment of the game, and if you are, you're going to win you're going to win more games than the other guy. It's just plain and simple. That's how you how you have to compete. Especially, if they have more ability than you, you outwork them and you're more focused and you're in the moment more than that guy. Your work will beat their talent every single time. You're going to always be one step ahead of them, and that's what I've always focused on. If that guy takes 50 ground balls, I take 75. And that's what's going to get you to that next level.
While you were talking, I had written down natural talent versus hard worker. What's the difference? Because there's certain job descriptions that is always apparent. I mean, that there is a natural that's in there and that there's a hard worker that's in there.
Yep.
And you obviously, I mean, you would just explain the difference. We run across guys who have that natural talent, man, and then they're usually lazy, or when that cross gets strapped to their back, they're like, wait a minute, because they never had any adversity.
Exactly.
Those are the guys that go by the wayside.
The pain was never there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what fires me up. When you get that pain on your back or in anything, and you thrive in that, and it drives you forward to wanna to work harder and harder and harder because you accept that pain. And it's what strengthens your resolve, right?
People, it goes one of two ways. As soon as the pain's applied, people either they back up off of it and they're like, hey, they kind of hurt, or there's those guys that are like, whew, man, that felt that did a little something. You know what I mean? Let's see how far we can push this.
Yeah.
So Dustin,
you know what? I didn't learn. I learned. I've always tried to outwork everybody, but I didn't learn the tight situation until I was fortunate my rookie year. I played with some veteran guys, like Mike Lowell, Jason Baratek. I had Alex Cora, Kevin Euclid, and when it was a pressure situation, we were all prepared. Don't get me wrong, we were all prepared. But when it was tight and we needed to do something, it was like the moment stood still for all those guys, and it was calm. You know, Mike Lowell would say, "Hey, everything's fine. One pitch at a time. We're going to play. That's how we're going to play the rest of this game. We're going to make one pitch. You're going to concentrate and try to have a quality at bat. You're going to try to win one pitch. If it's ball one, you won that one. If it's strike one, you lost. That's how we're going to play the rest of the game." And when he was talking, it was like he was talking in slow motion. And that's how I learned.
That's cool.
You know, as you keep playing baseball, the tighter the situation, the more you have to calm down, think the situation out, because everybody else speeds up. They basically panic, and you have to harness everything that you've done in practice and your preparation, and you're prepared. You're ready. You're more prepared than that guy. So understand the moment and slow into it, and outthink the person. That's going to get you through every situation in our game. Is learning the moment and just going right through it.
And we have a saying in the it's called "stand fast." So get ready for the fast, but slow back down. And it runs along that lines, and it's kind of it's parallel with us in the way we train, because we train for they hammer us. It's hard. And by the time we get out, a lot of things that we do, it's just anticlimactic. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when it goes bad, it goes real bad.
It's real bad fast.
And then when that happens, they're saying don't run to your death that we use. And it's kind of one of them deals, man. When it starts falling apart, just either take a step back or stop. Take a deep breath.
Take that pregnant pause, right?
Pregnant pause. Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
And then it may seem like an eternity, and it does. It does seem like an eternity, but man, it's so beneficial. And that's kind of the deal, man. When that pressure comes on, and you got one of them guys who's kind of been around, he's like, "Hey, man, I got to go to the bathroom," or something. Just kind of just break that.
They were his chiefs. They were the chiefs, and he was a new guy. And what I love now,
though, levity to the whole situation.
Right, and they calm you down. What I love now, though, is Dustin, you're in that role, and so when you see these young kids that and coming on, and they must look like school kids, to you now. We're all getting older and long in the
using the wrong side of the razor, kind of. Just kind of. Hey, buddy, your mama know you're out here playing baseball?
And when they look to you, are you like, do you hear those old things from Veritech and all those other guys that you played with? Do you hear it, or do you what comes out of your mouth?
Yeah, it's kind of that responsibility as the old, and it happens overnight. You become the old dude quick.
I know it happens.
That's the crazy part about our job.
Yeah, you know what? I try to take the same approach. Especially with we got some really good young players, and they haven't learned what they're starting to this year. They hadn't learned how to win together. And I tell them, I have conversations with them every day. It's tough playing in this environment. The fans get on you, the media gets on you, and everything. And I just say, hey, listen, you have to separate everything. You can't worry about what other people say. The only thing that you need to care about is what the other 24 guys in that locker room think of you. That's it. If I think that if I trust you, that's all. That's the only thing that should matter. You have to blank all that out and get ready for what your role is on this team. I need to know that when you step on the field, you're ready to play for 9 innings and play your tail off. Nobody else is irrelevant to that, except me and the other 23 guys. So that's what I tell them. Every day, you're trying to prove something to me that you're accepted. And that's what I had to go through. And you put your head down and you work until you're in my position and you're helping another guy. And these guys, man, they've been unbelievable. They're working every day. They got their head down. They're not worried about anything else. And it's been fun to watch.
They want to win. Yeah. They want to win.
Absolutely.
I think that what you said about that just kind of tacks it down real well. Because when we go out and talk to the athletes and try and relate to them, it's like there's a difference between being on a team and being a team.
Amen.
Right? I mean,
Exactly.
Yep.
and we all know that teams are forged in adversity. That's why you practice and train and because
And
when
lose,
it goes,
and lose.
because when it goes down, man, the people who are talking smack, they're not out there with you.
Nope.
I mean, they're not having to
No.
go through this, and it's so easy to talk smack and judge and do all that. And look, here's the deal, man. You tell them kids, if you're on TV, you're on TV. You know what I mean? Who cares what they're saying? They're talking about you. Right? At this day and age, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, it just
Especially in Boston. I mean, these guys get crushed up there. I mean, you know,
if you're winning, you can do anything. You're basically running the show. If you're winning, it's tough, man, to be an athlete. That added pressure of not only performing. See, that's one thing we don't have to deal with, man. Is when we go to work, it's no one knows about it. When you got to go to work, I mean, they televise it. So, you know, working your way up. We have a saying: when you guys first get to the team, man, it's they take your trident away from you and put it in a bird cage. And like, no bird, no word. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Shut one, open 2. And then we actually have to go through a process. I mean, you're a new guy, then you're a one platoon wonder. I mean, you really don't have any stroke or someone looking at you kind of with the responsibilities till down the road. And that's the way it is when you come into the clubhouse, I would assume. You get in there, man, it's like
based on performance.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, good job in the cage today. Clean the locker room. So, I mean, you need to be the first guy there and the last guy to leave. And it's so important for the veterans and our community, and I would imagine yours, to be squared away. Because the young guys look to the older guys that have been around, how they do it. I mean, if you got a guy who's out there and flamboyant and dating those supermodels, hey, man, if he's squared away in the locker room, have at. You can do anything you want as long as you do not bring shame to this team and you are practicing it and working hard.
And I love the way you and there's the word around town is, Dustin, that you can ride some people pretty good explain to the people who listen, to our listeners, that riding is a part of it, right? Because we do it in our community too. And tell everybody why you do it in terms of having fun or whatever. Just share with us why you ride people.
Yeah, you know what? I think I use it as I'm pushing them to try to get the best of their ability out of them. You know, if I sense a moment that of guys are stepping back, that's when I go. I attack them.
Right.
You know, I want my teammates to be the best baseball players they could possibly be, the best guys off the field they possibly could be, and I don't want them to ever take a step back in any time. You know, baseball is a short window, and you know, I played for some great coaches in college, and you know, it was all mental toughness, the way you go about everything, and you know, these young guys, some of the guys that sign out of high school, they don't get that. So, you know, part of my responsibility, I feel, is I got to make them the best baseball player they possibly can and best person. You know, I got to push them in every single way to be the best at everything. And
that's cool.
They know that. They know when I don't you know, haze anybody or things like that. I don't make them carry, you know, the water or the beer or anything like that. I don't really care. But I just care when they show up to work. It's you got to do every rep. It's got to be game speed. It's got to be just like in the game. Every swing, everything. That's the only way you get better.
Yeah. Look, I think that's I mean, I get it. People just get so wrapped around the action. You know who complains about that the hardest are the
prima donnas.
Yeah, or the bit, you know, people who just complain, they can't handle anything.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, man. When it comes to this, and I'm not talking about straight up hurting somebody.
No, not being malicious.
I'm talking about coming and let me tell you,
bringing the pressure, the pain, the mental pain.
If you're in our community, if you're not getting messed with, that means they don't like you.
Exactly.
And that's everything.
And another thing is, with the world, when we get out and
Marcus, that's why I hammered the snot out of you.
I know,
that's
exactly.
because I love you, brother.
I know. It's because it's squared away. I mean, look, here's the deal. When the world starts falling apart out on the field or on the battlefield, whatever we do, you can't even describe it to the people who've never even experienced it. And I can guarantee that the other teams you guys are playing against are going to be talking all the smack in the world and doing everything they can to get into that rookie's head. So when you got your own veterans, the guys who care about you, we're on a team, we want to win. I'm not going to do anything to you to shut you down, but I'm going to mess with you just to see what you're capable of. how strong
Yeah.
you are, because I need you. Not the strongest weapon that you have is your mind.
Amen.
And
Yep.
if you can't handle somebody tossing words at you, words at you.
Words.
I know words
Yeah.
from somebody's opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you let that get in your head, man, that's all stop right there, man. You just can't get around it. So having that camaraderie, and that builds camaraderie.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I always tell my new guys when the older guys would leave, I'm not supposed to do this, but I was like, hey, look, man, when they start messing with you and they call you something or whatever, own it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a badass nickname. I'm keeping that. You know what I mean? Because I had the worst ones. And it was just kind of one of them deals where if they even
Clinch.
see one chink in the kink in the armor, man, it's on.
Yeah.
If you're like, man, I don't like that. Oh, really? It come out on an email.
Yeah, in an
to
email.
the command, to the entire command.
Come out on an email.
And remember,
Attention on the quarterdeck.
Yeah, OMC?
Yeah. Attention on the quarterdeck. Pinky Pants has just entered the compound.
and then they print out, they'd Photoshop his picture onto something and print out 1,000 copies. And you'd be turning a manual, and there'd be that picture would be in there in the bathroom or in your pair bag. You're like, this isn't going away, is it? And they'd be like,
Nope.
no, it's not.
What I love about what you're talking about, what we're talking about, is that pressure, right? And it's not the pressure to crack someone down or make them hurt their feelings or whatever, but it's like, hey, you're playing at the highest possible level.
The highest level. That's
the highest level. The pressure you're going to feel, and this is where I'm going with this. The pressure, Dustin, that you felt in those World Series, can you kind of describe that for us and just try and help our listeners, understand it in their lives, maybe, or just try and summarize it.
If you're comfortable talking that inner part, Rhett and I were laughing about this, and they asked us, like, did you ever think about quitting? I was like, man, it'd probably be easier to ask me how many times I thought about staying. You know what I mean? Because when your bones are hurting and there's got that weak something going on, something's twitching, and you're thinking about this, and I'm like, man, and then all of a sudden you got to pull it back together and deliver.
Yeah, I mean the World Series games, I think my mindset, they were fun because I've waited and I've worked. I've taken so many reps and everything, and I knew I was so prepared for those opportunities that I enjoyed them. The games leading up to the World Series, the championship series and the divisional series, those were the ones that were, in my opinion, more stressful because it's hard to get to the World Series. You gotta do everything right to get there, and once you get there, everything takes over. All the work, your mindset, the training, everything. Those are the games where you enjoy and you play. You be who you are. So the pressure, I didn't feel it. I felt like I should be here. This is what I've earned. And if we want to win it, we got to take it. You know what I mean? That's how I felt. But the stages leading up, those were the pressure packed. Those were the times where the nerves got you.
Hey, I'm just wondering. I mean, when you played in college, when the crowds, I always wondered about that because that's not one of those deals. It's kind of a build up, I guess. From 4 people in the stands to 10 to 20. But I mean, when you walk in there for the first time, it's, especially if in a big game like that where you have fans. And that goes back to, hey, you might have messed with your rookies a little bit because the fans are relentless. Right?
I mean, Fenway in October must be pretty intense.
I mean, do you just kind of blank that out? Can you hear that the whole time, or when you hear that crack of the bat?
Yeah,
what is that? Auditory exclusion. Auditory exclusion, right? When it starts to go down, you don't hear the bullets.
Yes.
No, you
don't hear
you blank everything out. You focus on, you kind of zone in on, that pitch. You don't. I don't hear the fans. I don't hear anything. You have to find a way to block every distraction out and zone in on the task. So,
and that's how you know you're ready.
Time, but you get used to it. Yes, that's how you know you're in the game. You're in.
Okay, that's where I wanted to go, and that's what I thought, man. When you're out there, and for everybody who plays or anybody who does anything, and I don't care what it is you're trying to accomplish. I mean, if you're taking that test, that same thing would happen to me.
Totally.
You know what I mean? I would block out. I mean, and when I knew when that happened, when all I could hear or see was what had in front of me, then I was.
It's the zone. It's the flow state, right?
Zone, right. You call it whatever you want.
I mean, one of the greatest athletes in history, Michael Jordan. I remember he used to describe it where everybody on the court was in slow motion. And there's a psychologist out there. His name's Martin Seligman, and this guy's been studying flow state for a long time. And, of how it relates to people driving their car, when you're in your car just driving, and the next thing you know, you've driven 20 miles and you don't even know it because you get in that zone. Or
hear the road.
And so we all possess it. It's just a question of getting there. And from what I'm hearing from you, Dustin, is to get there and to be there on a regular basis, it's about two things. It's one, about the hard work that you put in and the pain you accept getting there. And then it's also the team that's around you. Is that true?
Yeah. I play for them. I don't want to let them down. That's if I don't focus for one pitch, I'm letting them down. And I'm not going to do that. So, that's
we like to say,
mindset.
I mean, look, hey, I'm in there, and we go into work every day and work to the gym and did all that stuff like that. You better yourself, because I didn't care about myself. I did all of that so that I would make sure that I would not let that dude down. And I know that he was doing the same thing. I mean, you're working in there and taking all that. And think about that, really, because you don't when you're going through it.
No.
But in reality, especially after you've been in some tough times with these guys, you look over at him just beat down, dying, broken bones, just shot up, and he did that for me.
Literally.
Wow.
Tossed himself in front of that, stayed up that extra whatever for me. So what kind of teammate or friend or buddy would I be if I didn't equally stand the line?
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Wow. And that's the difference between the individual. I mean, even in individuals, I don't know how many individual sports. I mean, you're an individual. You may play out there as an individual, but just with Miss Naya, that was the same thing. People just see her in the water.
And she had 45 people supporting her. She had a team.
Yeah.
She had a team. It's always a team.
Right.
I don't care what it is.
Hear about
it's a
these
team.
people with these great those people you're like, wow. I mean, like Dustin and fight anybody really, man.
Yeah.
There's something behind it. The power behind the throne, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the last questions I want to ask you before we end this segment is, as you guys are coming off some low points. Last couple of years, you had, 2013, of course, was just an epic year. And I think, the catalyst of the Boston bombings and the focus you guys had to win for not only yourselves as a team, but to prop up that city. And then a couple, low years. How do you influence the guys that are around you? What do you tell them to say, hey, it's these low points that make the difference? What are you saying to your team right now? Go ahead, jump in.
Yeah. Perfect question. I mean, perfect question, because when you become a champion, all right, there's only one way to go after that, and if you're not staying on top, right? And there's that pressure of being a champ, because that comes with it. That's the reward and the curse, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you got new guys coming in the year after you won, and I mean, that's got to be. Yeah, you got a duty to perform, and it better be exactly how you did it last time, man.
It's a little bit different being the hunted, or the hunter. You know what I mean? When everyone's out to get you, you have to work
exactly
harder.
What you're talking about.
Yeah, you have to work 50 times harder. You got to find different ways to win. You got to do everything. In the last couple of years, we didn't do that, and that's what I tell the guys right now. Hey, anybody can win one. Anybody can. I'm convinced of that. But you win 2, you win 3, then you're a champ. You got to find ways to overcome every obstacle to win. And, that's what I tell the guys every day. Hey, we're out hunting right now, okay? And once we win, we get done with that mission, we're the hunted. We got to fight everyone off. And we got to get back to being on top. So those guys can have that feeling and knowing what it's like for every single team that we play. They want to kick your ass, and we got to find a way to fight them off.
That's awesome.
That when you said that. So look, that when, and I don't ever talk about this, man, except for my teammates. When I was going through that with Red Wing, and we never for 1 second thought that we were being hunted until I was laying down there, afraid, scared to death. Realized that when I went from being a hunter to being hunted, and it crippled me. Wow. I mean, I tell people now that I'm older, there's a difference between being scared and being afraid. Scared, you harness that fear, and you can do things you never thought you could do. But being afraid will turn you into a blobbering mush. So when I buried myself under there, I was scared to death. They took my team away from me, which is a huge deal. I mean, I absolutely rely on my teammates to survive. And then being hunted, I literally had to sit down there and psych myself out. Yeah. To get back up. And the last thing I told myself was I was a Navy SEAL, quit being a bitch. And got up and started crawling. But I mean, you got, when you've been on top like that, and then you're right, man, you're still in the hunt. It's always in the hunt. So that's what I think. I was like, man, they may be after me, but I'm after them too, kind of deal. And when you think about it like that, never go back to, or never fall into a prey mentality, because that's prey die.
Prey die. Yeah. Amen. Well, Dustin, thanks so much, and I know you're going to stick with us. We're going to get into the after action report, but I just as we end this segment, I really just want to thank you for the people who will hear this section. And
great interview, man. Yeah, you gave us everything that. I mean, that's exactly what we needed to hear. Those different perspectives, different routes to get to the same point.
Amen. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
And so we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You got it. Holy smokes. I tell you what, listening to that guy makes me want to go out into my garage, dig out my baseball mitt from when I was in 3rd grade, and start having you whack ground balls into my chest, Marcus.
Right. I just started with axe. We started playing catch, and we're going to go down there and do that same thing.
It's happening, isn't it?
Strapping him up in the catcher gear and just start homing them at him.
What I love is, I remember, and you said so yourself at the beginning of the show, where you were like, man, Cal Ripken was the epitome. He was the guy that your coaches said, hey, be like Cal Ripken. Well, guess what I'm going to tell my kids now? Yeah. Be like Dustin Pedrioa.
I was excited. I was wondering, remember we were always kind of looking, every never quit story is the same. They're because life's different.
Yep.
Did I say that backwards?
We're unique. No, I got you. I'm tracking. Yeah. I got you.
For those of you who are new to our audience, you're gonna have most of the time you're not gonna have any idea what I'm talking about until the end.
And you got to be patient.
Right. And then Rut loves the connecting sentences in there, and at the end you'll be like, I get it. All right, kind of like life, right? And you only get it till the end. I think.
Right? I think that's it. Right
and the analogies and the country boy things, you just go with it. But it was his never quit story was his life. Remember,
the whole thing.
You know what I'm talking about?
Every day.
Just he didn't look at it like one thing. Kind of, I had to overcome that. It was all of it to get to where he was at.
My great thing is, when we finished up and we asked him about, his greatest impacts and what he wants to, to leave behind and all that kind of stuff is he wants his players to be the best. He wants them to know that they can turn to him, that he'll lead them through his actions, through his play. And that's powerful to me. He's conscientious about his team first. Just like the fact that he gave up that scholarship. That blew me away.
I mean, that's all I knew about that guy. That was enough.
That right there was. When he talked about it, I was the same way.
Because I live by my friends. Totally dependent on them.
Like giving your shirt off your back to him on a regular.
Knew that having that kid up there with him would have made him better than he was.
Yeah, and it did.
Not as good as he was, but better.
And what I also dug too is the fact that the first person he called was his old man, and to say, "Hey, Pop,
isn't that great?
What do you think I should do?" His first teammate, his ultimate teammate, right? And his dad was like, "Hey, son, whatever you think is right, I'm gonna support you."
Sure. I mean, I have an 18-year-old who's heading to college, and when he turned 18, I sat him down and we had the man talk. I'm like, "You're a man now, all right? Anything and everything you do from here is on you, and I'll be behind you to support you if you need me at any point in time. Just call." All right.
That's cool.
It's literally different now.
That's cool.
And it's just, I hope, and with Axe, man, I'm passing that down. That's what you want. I just want, ultimately, I tell him, like, hey, son, You ever need anything, man? I'm right here. Tell them that every day.
Right. And what I love and what we learn is, and I think Dustin referenced this with when I asked him about the new guys and, when he was a new guy and how Jason Varitek, when he was in the World Series, like his first or second year there, they were like, hey, just calm down, take a breath. It's going to be good. Just show up, go hit by hit, play by play. It's the same context, right? When you're in that never quit position in your life, you're looking for those external influences that you trust, right? Just like us, when you're downrange or you're in training or whatever, you're looking to that mentor or the kid you're mentoring, and you're going to impose or take that trust.
Absolutely. I mean, and you have to look at everything as a test, right? That was kind of the way I brought up, because no matter what's coming down on you, you're getting a beating or whooping or talking to or studying. It's a test, right?
Amen. He meets that test, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. And the perspective you have when you're doing it with somebody is what makes it, possible.
Right.
Because, I mean, obviously, we're in something that I'm going down the rabbit's hole.
Yeah.
And maybe he's not.
Yeah.
So, hey, what are you doing, man? What's in your head?
Help me out.
And, I mean, those guys that you're around them long enough, man, they just see that.
Totally.
You don't need to tell them.
It's built in, right?
Right, and that's the best part about it. I don't have to sit down and talk to somebody about it. They know exactly, like, all right, if we're going down this way, or if I see one of my buddies going down, I'm like, all right, well, we need to go in this direction. We'll go fishing, whatever, whatever it has to be to break up that part of it.
Right. Well, I tell you what, it was such a privilege to have him on. I'm really looking forward. If you're paying attention right now, and make sure you've come visit us for the follow-up in our after-action report on our website. That's tnqpodcast.com. Go to tnqpodcast.com, and you're going to get the second half of the interview with Dustin, where you're going to get to hear his how-to, how he goes about his daily routine, how he conjures up this never quit. He manifests it in his actual mindset, that physical, mental, and spiritual self, his commitment to his team, to his kids, to his family. And that's where you'll hear that. And also when you go there, check out also the links to the teamneverquit.com website. Again, visit our web store, check out our new gear that we got there. Check out our Team Never Quit podcast, our TNQ podcast t-shirts that are on. Get the ammo. Man, we got a lot of cool stuff.
I don't know why what you said just made, not to reiterate or belabor this point, but
I like when you belabor things.
You gotta when you really know somebody's done something good for the team is when everyone else is talking about him.
Right?
If you got somebody coming up telling you how good you are and how badass you are, that's great. Whatever. But if you got his boys, especially in a group like that, you're running around with a bunch of alphas and just the pinnacle of what this is supposed to be, and they're all saying, man, the guy is just about as solid as they come. That's something there, man. So
it is solid.
That's what I was thinking.
All right.
Go ahead, man.
That's it. And that's what we wanted you to understand with Dustin's interview today, is that this is a guy that leads by example. This is a guy everybody wants to emulate. This is a guy that, because of his work ethic, because of that consummate, perpetual commitment to the never quit mindset, he is who he is. So that's our show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you so much for joining the Team Never Quit podcast. I'm your host, David Rutherford, with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell. Marcus, what do you think these folks ought to do today?
Get up.
Get up. That's all we got. We're out.
I'm out.
Never Quit